Hey, Eagles fans, Eagles Nation, what is going on? We got really, you guys pretty much read the title. Welcome. Going on, Joey?
What's going on, man? What's going on? How's everything going? Good.
Yeah. Hey,
It's been a long time coming. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, so far, that's just been some crazy news. Crazy news the last handful of weeks regarding the Eagles, since kind of been going through some couple mock drafts and all that. Kind of get your take on it. You're excited for draft day, or kind of still a little bit nervous? I know I'm kind of in between.
Yeah, no, it's always nerve-wracking to go into a draft like this, but I mean, this draft is our future. This is probably one of the most important drafts for the Eagles, especially with Jalen Hurts, pretty much going to be playing out pretty much his year on his contract, and to see if he's going to be the franchise guy, because it's extension time at the end of the year. So Howie really has to hit on some of these draft picks. It was a very underwhelming free agency. And there were some questions, to be, some answers to be made, but I'm happy that we have the draft capital. We have a lot of Howie Roseman could really make himself out of this and really do a good job. I'm hoping he picks the right player, so that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, it's just like the last couple of mock drafts I've done, obviously with Mitch when we did his and Coach Dante. There's a few guys that I kind of selected. Obviously I wanted like Devin Lloyd, Devontae Wyatt, maybe Nakobe Dean if he's still available, or the way that I've been hearing the news. If we trade up, like I would not mind having snatching Kayvon Thibodeau, because I recently watched this tape a couple times. I like what this kid can bring. I think he could also be like that another Josh Sweat, kind of edge rusher. I think he can learn a lot, especially from God, who is Hassan Reddick? I think what I'm trying to say is he's trying to learn from Hassan Reddick and can learn a few things from Josh Sweat as well, which is funny because I've been telling a lot of Eagles fans, because that I know personally that me and Josh Sweat are like one day apart in the same year. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the whole defensive line is you have Hargraves. Hargraves a good re-sign candidate, probably at the end of this year, but he's a free agent after this year. Fletcher Cox a free agent after this year. Josh Sweat is a 7 to 9 sack guy, but kind of got paid that contract last year, and he did okay, but he could have probably did a little bit more. Brandon Graham's coming off an Achilles injury, so I mean, They really need to get some pieces on the defensive line. So I wouldn't doubt it if they double dipped at defensive line. I'm not saying 2 picks in the first round, but they at least got a double dip. And look, I heard the news, Ian Rappaport talking about a trade up, and I think Carolina would be the perfect spot. It looks like Carolina might be the spot. Who knows at this point? What you're going to give up is, depending, because, that Eagles Saints trade kind of helped us a little bit. We have an extra third, an extra 7th this year, and, some future picks in case, God forbid, with the quarterback situation. So I've heard Thibodeau's name. Jalen Reagor's up for trade now, and I don't know what they're going to do, because if they already moved JJ to tight end, they got Reagor now on the trade block right now. If they get that done, there's no doubt in my mind they might actually go, if they get Thibodeau out of the top 5 or whatever they do. If he starts slipping, because that's a name to definitely watch out for. I wouldn't doubt they got a receiver with 18, or could have done the total opposite. Who knows? So,
but yeah, appreciate who that dude. Greatly appreciate coming in. I greatly appreciate everybody coming in. Huge shout out to the 12 viewers kind of popping in. But yeah, it's just like, it's just like, I think Jalen Reagor. I feel like sometimes I get it. We're all harsh on Jalen Reagor. I think a change of series can do him some good, because I think he's still a decent talent to have for any team to have. It's just like, I think with Philadelphia, I feel like just like the expectations, like if you fall below that, like Will can let you know about it. Like take Devontae Smith, had a decent rookie year. I thought he could have done a lot more. And like you said, right. Same with Josh Sweat. Obviously losing Brandon Graham, that was probably one of the biggest blows to our defensive line. Now it's for me, because it's like because I could agree more. Like I would rather double dip, maybe the 2nd or 3rd round. And get a couple defensive line. And look, I would not mind taking a receiver in the 1st round, though, to help get another weapon, because Chris Olave is one of the guys. Him and the Jameson Williams are the 2 guys I'm keeping my close eye on.
Yeah, I like Jameson Williams. I don't know if you're going to get him out of the top 10. I'm looking at Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams in the top 10. I feel like there's going to be like 8 receivers taken in the first round. No joke, because I feel like there's some good weapons, in the early second that might be late first round picks. I think like George Pickens might move up in the late first as well. But they talked about Jameson Williams a lot yesterday, and I feel like the more we hear about players, the more we're not going to pick them, which is a shame because I think without the injury for Jameson Williams, he'd be the number 1 receiver in the draft this year. And I like Olave. I like Treylon Burks, at 15 to the 18 range if you want to get him there. But Jameson Williams, Olave, and I really like Garrett Wilson a lot. So I'm hoping they do get a weapon. I hope they get another weapon, add more competition to the wide receiver room. And we'll see. They could be a defensive line or wide receiver. Who are they trading up for? Or cornerback at this point for Sauce Gardner if they feel like he's going to slide just a little bit. But it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, especially when and Nikki said we get like a 4th for. I see. For me, if I want to have a bet, my best guess on it, say leave me like I say between like a 3rd and a 4th for Rager because I don't think I don't really, and I kind of agree with Nikki because I don't see his Rager's value go any higher than the 4th or 3rd or 4th round pick at best.
Yeah, well, look at this. Like Nelson Aguilar did a lot more for us in 3 years. So
3 years.
I'll say that 2 mediocre seasons, but the guy got separation. I mean, this guy, Jalen Rager, not only like can he not get separation, I mean, he's lazy on routes. He can't catch the football. His hand-eye coordination's horrible. He just has a bad mindset. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you have a really bad mindset, if it's all a mental thing, in the NFL, you're not going to make it with as much talent as you do have. And I think with Rager, he can't handle the city. He just can't handle the off-the-field issues with the fans on the social media too. So I think it's the right thing to move on, and maybe another team could try to get the strengths out of him that we can't get out of him because there's way too much pressure for him here, obviously. And, the Eagles treating him like more like a number 1 receiver here, which I really couldn't stand. So Nelson Aguilar, I'd probably take any day over Rager, to be honest with you. So.
And that's a very good point because with Aguilar, I feel like he was good. I feel like we just kind of misused him because I think I see more as with the way that Aguilar was used, especially during our Super Bowl run. We actually use him as a slot receiver. It's just like, and we're seeing during this time with the Raiders, they use him as a slot receiver. We're seeing with the Patriots, it's like, I was like, what in the hell are we doing?
Yeah, he had because he had 2 mediocre seasons. When Mike Rowe became the wide receiver coach, he played really well the Super Bowl year. Then when all receivers went down in 2018, he was like the guy and couldn't catch anything for anything. So he went back to his normal self in 18, then played for the Raiders for less than $1 million for that 1 year and balled out, and then got a big deal for the Patriots. So he's had a very up and down year, but I'd pick Aguilar over Rager any day of the week.
Oh, definitely. But what's going on, boys for life? Going on Army 63B. Easy money. Appreciate it. Oh, Mitch, here we go. God, you won 500. Jeez.
Yeah, it's bad.
Appreciate Nikki tuning in. Boys for life. If the Eagles trap Mark Carell, I'm saying Joey a fathead.
No way. I'll throw it out and burn it. I'll burn that crap.
Yeah, but it's just like you said, this is the one drive that Howie does not want to screw up because if he does that, I can imagine how the city of Philadelphia is going to be pissed off.
Yeah, there's a big chance, and I always think about this. Like that Eagles Saints trade, worried me. It was a good trade for us. The problem is with that trade is you have a first-round pick for next year. You have 2 first-rounders for next year, a second-round pick in 24, which is great. But at the same time, I feel like they're weighing out their options because they could still get a quarterback in this draft. And the one they have been hearing is Matt Corral because they brought him in for a pre-draft visit, and they really do like him a lot. And what I could think, there's 2 things that could happen. 1, Jalen Hurts starts this year. Or number 2, Jalen Hurts will still start, but they might trade Minshew. They pick up Matt Corral, and I don't know what round, if they pick him in the second round, and then sit him behind Jalen Hurts. Those 2 first-round picks for next year are used to build around Matt Corral, which kind of worries me a little bit. But I'm hoping not. I'm hoping we don't go that direction because we went the total opposite in free agency. I thought we built the defense more than the offense. I want to get a veteran weapon in here, which we didn't. I don't know why they didn't. I know the wide receiver market was kind of crazy after what's his face got
Christian Kirk, and you had Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams kind of reset the market.
Calvin Ridley would already be a Philadelphia Eagle right now. You know what I mean?
So with that bonehead mistake, it's just like literally
I know
making millions of dollars, but it's like why? Like literally, like that's like chump change to you guys. It's like you're making millions, but it's like really you're losing at 1,500. Come on, that's like chump change.
Yeah. So Howie Roseman knew the wide receiver market, and that's why we tried trading. And a rumor to be that Calvin Ridley trade was supposed to be a 3rd-round pick for Calvin Ridley, which I thought it was a steal at that point. So it didn't happen. You know, they could have screwed us and just gave us Calvin Ridley with knowing what everything was going on. But I respect them for not trading him here. But we kind of passed up on every single receiver. I mean, you still had DJ Chark went on a short deal, like 1 year for $10 million, but to the Lions. But I mean, they really didn't try. Besides, been trying to go after Marcus Williams, and they really didn't try. Other than Hassan Reddick, we got lucky with him because he came here on a cheaper deal than he was supposed to. He would have went to another team and got more money. So it was a very underwhelming free agency, but the amount of flexibility and cap space that they had, or at least the draft picks as well. So.
Yeah, with Matt what said, yeah, I mean that's kind of what we're kind of discussing. It's like I think Hurts, and I said this and I'll say this again. Like I'll ride with Hurts this year if he, and I made a video about this too. It's like if he can like improve like his deep ball accuracy, because I know it's like really because we don't know he has the arm strength. He can throw the deep ball, but you just got to be accurate with it. So if he can like do that, work on that through like OTAs, training camp, and all that stuff, I think you can see him like Jalen Hurts could be what, top 15, top 20. Because I think if he starts getting better, you could definitely see he can probably move up in the top 10, in quarterbacks. But for me, it's just like, I think Hurts can be in the, top 25 of quarterbacks because I think the talent is still there. He's still young enough to like learn, get all that. Smith, I thought they got to get him more utilized more going into this year, which is kind of my biggest key, like you said. I mean, I think every Eagles fans is like, we could have had a 1,000-yard season out of him. But hey, look, I can't complain with the production that Smitty had. I thought it could have been a lot better than it should have been. I mean, I love as much as I love Miles Sanders. It's like it seems some of these Penn State guys just cannot stay healthy. I mean, we saw it with Saquon, and as much as I have a lot of respect for Saquon, just it's unfortunate to see what kind of talent that he has can't stay healthy the last 3 years. I mean, same with Miles Sanders. It's just we all know that the running back market is not as big as it used to be because it's always the quarterback, wide receivers. There's some defensive linemen out there. But yeah, I mean, it's just like. Now, I'm trying to think. Who's our tight end number 2 behind Goddard? Is it like Richard Rodgers?
JJ. Probably.
Jesus Christ.
Probably. I think the first step to this whole entire offense, going to this year is, it did Jalen Hurts improve? And then the second step to this whole thing is Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator, which I think he's going to be on the hot seat this year because he really – I don't know. To me, his play design was trash this year. His the ability to get guys open and getting the right guys open for this offense because Devontae Smith having he didn't start even in the playoff game. Just take that for example. Okay, the whole entire thing, the whole entire play design for that, missing Quez Watkins 3 times on 3 potential touchdowns. Devontae Smith didn't get the ball to the end, the third quarter as your number 1 receiver. Miles Sanders was almost out 3 weeks, and you gave him all the snaps and no Boston Scott or Jordan Howard till the third quarter. So it was just that game was over in 10 minutes. I mean, it was that bad. Devontae Smith has got to be used as that number 1 guy, and if they don't, Shane Steichen's got to get fired this year. After this year, and that's just the way it is. If you notice this whole offseason, they haven't changed any coaches. They did that out for a reason because they want to keep what they have and kind of give this thing another go with what they have in the coaching staff. Because Howie didn't pick this coaching staff. Howie picked Nick, obviously, but Nick picked his own coaching staff and the guys he wants to work with. So I don't like how they use Rager. I don't like how they use Devontae Smith. And they throw to the tight ends way too much. I mean, they just don't do enough. The run game is great. They just have to balance the pass on top of it, and obviously the anticipation on throws, throwing in short windows, and Hurts working with Tom House, Quincy Avery. The rumors with him and Tom Brady throwing together. So it's I'm glad. I don't ever question Jalen Hurts and his mentality or his work effort because it's beyond far. So I mean, it's great, and I don't question that. So. I think that's what it's really going to depend on this year. So,
Yeah, and I think that's that's absolutely true. I mean, and even running Shaky Steichen, which at first on paper it looked like it was let's finally get a good offensive
Right.
coordinator, but the way that I mean, you pretty much hit it right at the head. It's just like I'm kind of starting having second thoughts on Shane Steichen, but I'm going to give him another chance.
Yeah.
If the play calling gets a lot better throughout this entire 18-week season, I'm guessing.
Right.
And then maybe I guess maybe just that 1 year, maybe just like I think the coaching staff still learning like how to get stuff to try to get stuff together.
That's why when you go into this draft, like you're not promised to get a Jamar Chase out of this draft that's going to explode game one. It's just not going to happen. Maybe it will. Who knows? But I'm saying this, like, that's why I want to bring a veteran receiver in the building from the start, because to kind of lead these guys. This offense was way too young, coaching staff wise and player wise. You had a rookie quarterback, first year head coach, pretty much a first year OC for the Eagles, and I'm Shane Steichen, which he was with the Chargers, but there was too many new pieces in this offense. I mean, it was very, very young, and a lot of mistakes were going to get made, and a lot of mistakes were made. We couldn't run the ball at the beginning of the season, and then finally we caught our groove, and Jalen Hurts really helps that run game. And Miles Sanders, not a great year, but I'm not into paying a running back $40 to $50 million. There's a lot of good running backs in this draft. You want to go over Hassan Haskins, you want to go get Breece Hall, you want to go get Kevin Harris from Iowa State. I mean, there's a lot of running backs between rounds 3 to 6.
Kenneth Walker too. I mean, I like what he.
Oh
brings.
yeah.
It's just like the running backs has their value is not has diminished, but it's just not as the fact that some of these teams they want to overpay for running backs. It's like that value, that kind of position is kind of being undervalued as it is before.
Look what Ezekiel Elliott's doing. I mean, he's getting paid $18 million this year to what? To rush 4 yards a carry. I mean, he's not a breakout star like he used to be. So paying running backs, I'm good with paying mid-tier to low contracts for rotational guys, a 1-2 punch or a 3-headed monster. You brought Boston Scott back, which, I'm happy and great, but I hope what I do miss what they did with Miles Sanders, what Doug did on Miles' rookie year, put him in the passing game, because he is a big threat in that passing game against the linebackers. He's a mismatch. I really miss Miles Sanders being in the passing game a whole lot. You know what I mean? So I think they should go out and get that elusive Jonathan Taylor type back with a little, as a bruiser, good between the tackles. And I think you mentioned Kenneth Walker and Hassan Haskins, some of these other guys. There's a lot of running backs in here. I think you're trying to get that replacement for Miles Sanders. I don't know if Miles gets hurt again or he plays not up to par. He could come back on a friendly contract, but I don't know. We'll see.
That it is really true, because it's like, there's some other names out in this draft. I mean, Stingley, he's and Olave, some of these other guys, to name a few. It's just like, Breece Hall. I know a lot of people I know he's kind of been slept on in the draft a little bit, because it's like, some of these guys who could be like, late first rounders, mid second, early second. Because like with Corral, I know it's just like a lot of what people, because I mean, as much as I love Corral, I think he's more like an early second because of that injury he suffered. And I think, what game was it? I can't remember what game was it. I think it might have been the knee injury, but it's just like you said, we have Brandon Graham coming off an Achilles, which is probably not going to be the easiest thing for Brandon Graham to come back off. And I mean, Brandon Brooks, as much as I love the dude, which is unfortunate. Look, I think he retired in the best way possible. Still young at 32, but just was unfortunate. The injury bug was just unfortunate. But the fact that he dealt with 2 Achilles injuries, which is, bad luck in itself. But hey, look, football players really don't age as well. Well, unless you're Tom Brady than anybody else, but that's the only exception to that rule. But, some of these players, like in specific positions, really don't age. I mean, with Todd Gurley, once a proud superstar, as soon as he started getting up there in age, like he started breaking down, which is it's a shame for someone like Todd Gurley to really
last. They don't last a long time. None of them do.
Yeah, because I just feel like because usually running backs are the expendable pieces on football teams. And like you said, with Miles Sanders, if he doesn't really stay healthy, I mean, what other option do we have? Other than Boston Scott, we still need a bruiser back. I mean, as much as I love Jordan Howard, I mean, he's another guy. And that's another thing, too. I would not mind having Linderbaum either, because like if Kelce's gone, I think he's going to be another guy I think can really learn a lot from Kelce, because I think I haven't watched much tape on Linderbaum. I know the kind of player that he can be. I think he kind of has that Jason Kelsey kind of, I think he's got a little bit of speed to him for a guy his size as a center, which is something that, I think what Kelsey has, was it a 33, give or take?
Yeah.
But it's just, it's going to be really tough to see some of these guys who's been here, like Elaine Johnson, Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey. Once they're gone, it's all going to be the young kids from there going forward. But yeah, I mean, and even with that trade with the Saints, it's like, and because Key in the building, she's another Eagles content creator. Yep. When she looked at it, she's like she had that WTF alley, like she was like pissed. It's like, then you looked, and I looked at it, it's like, what the hell is going on? But looking further to it, the fact we moved up a couple spots in the certain rounds is like, okay, that might help us. And the fact, and like you said, I think you said it perfectly. We were not going to draft 3 first rounds because we're going to have to pay him tons of money, and we don't really have that much. So the fact that Howie somehow worked his magic to get us another first rounder for next year, get a 2024 second rounder. I was really hoping to at least get another second rounder for next year, so at least we could have a double dip on second rounders in 2023. But hey, look, I can't complain on the trade from that trade with the Saints.
No, it was a good trade, and you take. I don't know what they're doing at offensive line down the road. I mean, I don't know. I know Kelsey's probably going to retire after this year. Isaac Samala's coming back. I'm not a big fan of his pass protection. His run blocking is really good. His pass protection is very suspect. Driscoll's not the ideal right guard. I think he will become the right tackle once Lane Johnson retires, because I think he plays right tackle a lot better. They signed Nate Herbig yesterday, which he could play both guard spots. Plays right guard a lot better. Dickerson, I don't want to move him to center. I really do like him at left guard. I think that's the strong suit of our offensive line. And next to Mulata, I think it's unstoppable. Dillard could be a big trade chip right now. You have LaRaven Clark that can play left tackle, right guard, right tackle, but he's always injured at this point. So I'm kind of looking for a right guard in this draft. I haven't really looked at a lot of offensive line because I just haven't really cared that much between all the other positions that have been going on. But, Linderbaum, like, would I be upset or surprised? I don't know. I mean, if they pick him in the first round, I'd be kind of, not really surprised, but more like, oh, well, I didn't think that was going to happen too much. But, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, offensive line the offensive line you have right now is good for this year, and maybe the Eagles look elsewhere for offensive linemen next year. Well, I think they're still going to draft an offensive lineman this year. I mean, look, they just turned a 7th round rugby player into a Pro Bowl left tackle. That's going to be
for a guy who has not played 3 years in American football. So it's like,
you know what I mean. So at this point, I have whoever they pick at offensive line, I'm going to be very excited to maybe pick somebody, in this draft that plays multiple positions, someone that can cross-train easily. And I think they should do that, because the more as an offensive lineman, the more worth you're going to have to the offensive line. So
absolutely. And like the one guy that I feel that comes to mind, especially the draft, is Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M, because he's another guy that's very versatile that I've been keeping my close eye on. I think he's like 6'7", I think 315, 325. Like he's another guy you could probably from what I've read from the scouting report, he's also can be cross trained as well. So I mean, he's another guy I would not be too upset if they just snagged, say, at pick 51. If that was the case, I mean that's really pretty much right on the head. It's just like we have a decent offensive line, but going in 5-10 years down the road, we're not going to have the same guys as we used to. So we're going to have to make the most out of, especially on the defensive end too, with Brandon Graham. Unfortunately, it's going to suck, but hey, look, that's just kind of,
like if you move Dickerson to, if you move Dickerson to center, that's all I'm saying. This, like, if they can move Dickerson to center and put Samala at left guard if they want, but I just don't like Samalo's pass protection. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I think he could be a trade candidate for next year in the offseason after this year, maybe, if that's even the case. You know what I mean? So, I think, like I said, Driscoll will become the next right tackle most likely. They have to fill in some spots, like probably in the next couple of years with Lane Johnson retiring or whatever happens, how long he's going to be playing for. So, like I said, I haven't followed too much offensive line-wise, but I think whoever they pick, I'll definitely do some research to see, like, why they, picked a certain player and add to this offensive line. So I'd be happy with it.
Yeah, and that's another thing too that I say go to the later rounds to get a center, because I feel like sometimes I feel like getting a center in the first rounds might be of a reach, because I know the Raiders kind of made that mistake a couple of years ago with Leatherwood, because obviously Coach Botley was not happy when that was the case. So I don't want to reach too far. But there's a few things that I want to like. The first two, like the picks in the first round, like I would not mind don't mind taking a linebacker and a wide receiver with the first two picks, and then go like offensive or defensive line later in the later rounds.
Do you think they take linebacker the first 2 rounds? Do you think they actually, since Kaiser White signed with the Eagles, and obviously with Hassan Reddick moving from Sam to edge rusher, do you actually think they get a linebacker in there the first 2 rounds?
It's a possibility, but I would not mind if they. Ooh, that is a very good question. For me, it's possible, but I feel like there's more likely they may have a possibility of double dipping on receivers because let's be real, we don't really have decent. The only other decent receiver we have is Quez Watkins, and we need another couple more to really complement. Devontae Smith, because if we say, for example, if we get Jameson Williams and who's another one I just lost the train of thought on him.
We talking about Burks,
Traylon Burks,
Garrett Wilson,
Garrett Wilson. I mean, any of those guys. Like, if we can have guys like at least 6'5", 6'6", maybe hell even 6'7", I think that's really I think that can really help with our wide receiver core because we need a 50-50 guy. We need another a young, speedy with Alshon type of receiver, which Alshon was great, but it was just he was not as great as the years as after all that. It's just look. I think I'm saying this. I think George Pickens is perfect because he's got that 6'3" height, and I think he moves really well for his size. Alec Pierce from Cincinnati really intrigues me a lot. He's 6'3", 6'4", over 200, 212 pounds. He's a beast. He reminds me of Alshon Jeffrey a little bit, but a little bit of T. Higgins in him as well. He's got a lot of speed for his size. Yeah, he's another guy that I've been keeping my eye on because it's just It's just somebody because like you said, this is a make or break year for most of these teams in the NFL. It's not just us, but mostly sometimes could be us because this is where, like you said, this is an extension year for Howie. Well, I think he already signed an extension, didn't he?
Yeah, 3 years.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
3 years.
Oh.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately.
But if Howie finds a way to finally get some steals in the draft, I could not be upset about that. The ways that I think it's just if you go back to when we just drafted Deshaun Jackson in the second round, and look, I have tremendous respect for G Jackson, the career that he's put, the career he's paid out here in Philly. So if we can get something like that, in the later rounds, I think Howie, I've said this many times too. Fingers crossed, because I do not want Howie to cause me to drink and be losing my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of and I think most teams are looking defensively because the Texans need everything, pretty much every position. Detroit needs some. It's just this is even granted, even though there's some decent quarterback prospects, but it's really not the best. It's just I don't remember any draft in the past few years that's been defensive heavy, which is crazy.
More teams are willing to trade back in this year's draft because of the quarterback situation, and there's a lot of depth at certain situations, at certain positions on defense when it comes to safety, a little bit at corner, defensive tackle, defensive end, just a little bit here and there. So, I know we have the 51st pick, which isn't enough because I could see the Eagles at least trading back 18 if they want to do that, get an extra second rounder, because I think this is going to be one of the most exciting second rounds of the draft because there's a lot of depth at a lot of positions, and even at safety right now. We're looking at this Tyrann Mathieu situation right now, and if they draft a safety in the second round or the first or the second round, I think the Tyrann Mathieu thing is off the table. But I'm looking at guys like Jaquan Brisker from Penn State, Daxton Hill.
Yeah, Daxton Hill's another guy that I'm really liking.
Oh yeah,
and I know Mitch, thank God he's not in the chat because he will either have him and. I say Corral's more in the second because I don't know if he's still recovering from that knee injury though. That's the thing.
I hope he has not recovered. I hope he doesn't make it to our pick. So I do not want. I've been getting texts from Matt Corral the past week and a half, and I'm tired of it. And I swear, if they get a quarterback in the first 2 rounds, it really pissed me off. It really just throw me off.
I forget. I mean, Lewis Cine is another guy that I'm keeping my close eye on.
Yeah.
These Georgia players are just interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It was just interesting to look at because, yeah, I get it. You know, a lot of people are criticizing the motor that Jordan Davis has, but you can't really deny that for a guy who's like 6'5", 330 pounds that run like a 4.5 and a fucking 40, like that's like for me that's scary enough. If you're like just like defensive lines, like you're like that's just crazy for a guy. See these offensive linemen who can move like that, like that's unheard of.
That's who I want at 18. I want Jordan Davis badly because he'll clog the hole. He'll help out Javon. I mean, this is what I would do. If you draft Jordan Davis, I put Davis next to Hargrave and move Fletcher back next to Milton Williams. I think
I was thinking this exact same thing because Milton Williams, I thought he showed a lot of promise.
Yeah.
And I think Hargraves, finally, it's just like, even though I think he had an okay year, not gonna lie, but I do think he's gonna get better. Fletcher Cox, as much as I love the dude, I think I would like to move on from him because I know he's gonna get up there in age and he's a little bit too expensive for us to keep. What did we? I think it was like a 14 year for 1 year, 14 mil. I'm guessing it was. I don't remember the exact details.
What contract you talking about?
When we cut Fletcher Cox and brought him back.
Yeah, 13, 14 fully guaranteed for the year. Yeah, so what they did was they cut him. They redid his deal to make 13, 14 fully guaranteed, and they took that debt because the dead money would have been. So originally they were asking a second round pick for Fletch, but nobody bid on it. But the only reason they're asked for a second round pick is because they got the $40 million in dead cap. So what they did was they redid his deal. They lowered that dead cap from 40 to 12, which is a lot better. I think the Eagles are still like third in the league in dead cap as of right now, which is not good. That's bad contracts, unfortunately.
Yeah. So. And this is the thing too. This is why look, despite what the hate, how he gets, he knows how to work his magic in restructuring contracts. And Devontae Watt's another guy that I'm really starting to like too, because I feel like some of these Georgia players I'm really liking. I mean, David Ojabo, who knows where he's going to fall? I think I'm really liking him a little bit. It's just going to be very interesting to really see what this team can do, what this team's going to do.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you have depth, and even you got Travis Jones in the second round. You can go get you
got Mathis.
The guy from the Sooners, Perion Winfrey.
Yeah, Winfrey.
Yeah,
he's another guy. I feel like it's another going to be a sleeper in this draft, along with there's a few others. There's going to be a lot of sleepers in this draft. And
the Penn State defensive end,
Brandon Smith.
Yeah, Brandon Smith. That you a linebacker from Penn State? You're talking about?
Yeah,
him. And look, I think. Physicality, he brings physicality. The problem with him right now is he's got a lot of missed tackles too. His tackling isn't superb, but the guy, his lateral movement's really good, and I think he could just learn a little bit more. So we'll see.
Yeah, Sua Blaze, I agree. For a guy like someone Davis who's 6'6", 340 pounds, it's like you can't. If you pass up on him, then that's going to be a problem.
Yeah,
and it definitely because I looked at the contracts and I was like, geez, I know no wonder why they went. It's just like I think, yeah. I mean, Jerry, I think we all can agree on that because I think bringing it back on the 13 to 14 mil for just 1 year, it's easy enough to move because it's like we can move that 13 mil instead of having to take what was it like a 40 cap million the last time I don't remember the last time I checked. Yeah. So I would rather move that than eat up the 40 million for Fletcher Cox.
Yeah, that was smart because look. Here's an example of a 40 million dead cap hit. Like when the Falcons traded Matt Ryan, like they got a third round pick and they got hit with a 40 million dead cap. Like why? Like they're giving Matt Ryan some respect, but I don't know why you're going down. This is a franchise quarterback. You're giving him away for peanuts at this point. That could play well somewhere else. So. It makes no sense.
It really doesn't. It's just like at first when the first comes, it's like it got the entire Eagles community riled up. Say, what the hell are you doing? But then looking back at it, it's just like bringing it back on the 13 minutes. Like, okay, it makes sense because if you looked at, like kind of like Joey said. If you looked at the way that his contract was structured, it was not great.
No.
But it's just like as much, it's just like, look, I had my doubts on Sirianni, and I had people kind of tell me just like chill out, because I was one of many to call for his head, but after the kind of adjustments that let's see what kind of coach Sirianni is like, okay, I'll take it, give him a chance. Same with unfortunately, as much as I would rather have somebody else better than Gannon, which unfortunately that was not the case, but what can we do?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted him fired this past year. It is what it is. Like, I still think he should have been fired, but for this defense he wanted to run last year, he just couldn't do this hybrid defensive scheme, 4-3-3-4, disguising coverages, all that good stuff. He didn't have the players for it. He didn't blitz enough. He gave too many quarterbacks. I mean, Herbert had like a 91%.
Yeah,
like,
some of these guys had like missed one or two throws. It's like almost.
Yeah, they're Carl like Joe Montana, like 31 through 34. Like, come on now. Like, he just didn't like we were a second half team defensively. I felt like Gannon was running his basic defense. Then when things started to go wrong, I mean, it was an undervalued, it was an under average defense last year, and they have to improve. And like I said, you can have a good secondary, but I think the secondary was the highlight point with Slay. And Steven Nelson did a really good job, a solid job. Avonte Max had a solid job. So I mean, TJ Edwards played solid this year. So I mean, they got to get this defensive line right. They have to draft defensive linemen in the first round regardless. They need to add.
Oh, definitely for sure, because it's like because it's just like. Without that, I mean, we still got, Milton Williams, Hargreaves, and all this stuff. It's like, without them, I think our defense line would be nothing. It's, I mean, I would rather, really go after a defensive line in the first round. Maybe like a Tyler Lindenbaum, maybe Kenyon Green. Maybe we can try to at least reach for him maybe at 18. But like you said, I mean, it's just like this defensive line needs to work. And same with Sirianni, not Sirianni, but Gannon's needs to fix his scheme going into next year. Because I think having someone like Hassan Reddick, bringing back home a local kid, another Temple product. I mean, it's just, I think he's bringing in Hassan Reddick, which, and I think I said this too, and I think one of my shows, it's like Hassan Reddick is just one of those guys that's like, yeah, he's still young enough. I think it was still 20. I think 27. I think he is.
Yeah, he's still young.
Yeah, and the fact that also a Temple product, like bring him home, because I think the kind of skills set that he brings is I think that could really help. This defense. I mean, like you said, I mean, Steven Nelson had an okay year. I thought he did a decent job. Slay is just something else. Just always
but you got to compensate. Like, yeah, Nelson got picked on, obviously, but like this defensive line got no pressure at all. We barely blitzed. I mean, that's just the way it was. But it's just that was a huge. We always had a good pass rush with Jim Schwartz, but our secondary was horrible. But now, because Gannon used to be a corner coach for the Colts. He turned some players around when he was with the Colts. The corner from the Vikings.
Xavier Rhodes?
Yeah, Xavier Rhodes, he came off he got a big contract with the Vikings, then he started to dim down in his production, and he went to the Colts on that 1-year deal at 31 years old, and he lights out, played fantastic. So secondary's playing very well, but this defensive line needs an upgrade.
Oh, absolutely. It's just seen this, I mean, if Gannon can work his match with the secondary and start occasionally blitzing, because sometimes the blitz can work against you at times. I think at times we just gotta, and us and I've talked to some Raiders content creators too. Like they're another team that has not blitzed as much as rarely as much as we did. So they were us at the bottom of the league when it comes to blitzing. So it's just it's something that if I'm Gannon, I'll always at least try to take a look at. It's something that's like, okay, look, we get it. The secondary is good, but we got to start using it. We always had a good pass rush, like you said. Plus, we got to start blitzing, in certain situations. Like, I mean, even when we did, I mean, you definitely tell. I mean, Denver was decent, but then we're not the greatest team. One of the greatest teams that we played, but that was like a perfect example. Like when we blitzed, it's like, like we can have problems, and we can cause a lot of problems on the defensive end.
Yeah. And even when we did blitz, sometimes it just wasn't enough. Even when we did blitz, I saw no penetration whatsoever. So it's a huge problem.
And it was. And that's the thing. This is why I really hope maybe risk it and double dip for defensive linemen in the first round and at least add to that. And then, and then kind of, have Hargraves, Milton Williams, Fletcher Cox, maybe, and then
If you get picked up Thibodeau, and if you trade up for Thibodeau and got Jordan Davis, I'm not mad at it. I mean, I'm not mad at it at all.
That's going to really set yourself up on that defensive line.
Oh, yeah.
And then was Hargrave still in like this late 20s, like 28, 29 maybe?
Yeah, he's 29. Hargrave had 8 to 9 sacks this year, which was good. But as soon as it was after week 5, when teams started to zone in on Hargrave that he was the bigger threat than Fletcher Cox, they were doubling him. The defensive ends were just crap. They couldn't do anything. Barnett's been a problem all year. Josh White couldn't do anything. Brandon Graham was hurt, so he's trying to help out your defensive ends getting that double team, but he just can't get it done. And Fletcher was getting I think in the last couple of seasons he's been dipping in production. So.
Yeah, and it's just like, I think for Fletcher Cox, it's like, I would rather move on, at least get somebody and have somebody get, Thibodeau, who can bring a lot more. I've seen he can bring a lot more I think he might be a little bit of a smaller size than Fletcher Cox, but I think he makes up for it with his speed. And I think he also can bring some strength. So I think you could have, Hargraves, Williams, Kayvon Thibodeau. Hell, if you also have Jordan Davis, I mean, that could be a strong front four. And that's a good point. I think if Josh White didn't get hurt, I mean, who knows how good that edge rush would have been. And that's good. Same could be set up with Brandon Graham. Because I think with Brandon Graham, as soon as he went down, because Brandon Graham always was the heart of that defense. Whereas it's just like he brought, that fire to that defense. Like in some of the games, even though we were running the ball, but I mean, we've been playing some solid defense against some of these good teams when Brandon Graham was healthy. But it's and obviously with that Achilles injury, it just derailed, that momentum we had, and we had to pretty much play catch up for the rest of the entire year.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know what? I think depending on the Tyrann Mathieu situation, what happens, because he's another safety that can move around if you need him to. If they pick up at least a moving safety that can move to multiple spots and kind of bandage up this secondary a little bit and help out, I really think they could. I think this defense could turn around. Then I think it's going to be on Jonathan Gannon, really, because I think there's a lot of weapons coming his way between this draft coming up now. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out what it's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very good point. I mean, and look, Schwartz was not the best by any stretch of the means, but he had his, and this is the thing too with some of these defensive coordinators, they had their moments, because it's like, and even with Joey too, like even once you watch the streams, like there was two guys that I wanted to keep, was either Vic Fangio and Mike Zimmer.
Yeah,
but Vic Fangio more because I would rather see, because I don't know what is the big, because I see this is why I think veteran defensive coordinators, I think, make the best ones. It just shows, I mean, it's fortunate, I hate to say it. I mean, I've watched how Mike Zimmer was back in the 90s when he had a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. Like I don't know, I forgot what he ran back then, but it's just like, because obviously there's some that actually know how to do multiple different schemes. I mean, Patrick Graham, for me, is still a good defensive coordinator. Just really know how to really pick us apart. So I mean, it's just like it's going to be really, and that's another issue, and that is another issue too with Sewell Blaze kind of saying Kerrigan. As much as I enjoyed it, it's like I feel it's just like he was just never used properly in this defense.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's he's kind of getting old too, and I mean his best game was the playoff game.
Yeah,
that was his best game. He got the Tom Brady on how many times in that game? Where was that all year? Don't know.
It sucks though. But hey, look, I think if Gannon can work on some of the mistakes, I think that some of these other this entire coaching staff can make. I think this could be a good coaching staff. I think we could have sometimes, and there are times where I've had my doubts, like I said, with Nick Sirianni. The fact that he almost finished, had consideration for coach of the year, which is impressive in itself for a rookie head coach to get something like that. Just like I was like, look, I rather was he going to win it? No, but I'm really, kind of proud to see what Nick Sirianni was able to do. Unfortunately, if it weren't for that freaking flower press conference, like where did that fucking come from?
It worked. I mean, it worked.
It worked.
It was a joke, but it worked though. I mean, as long as the players believe in Nick, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what we think. As long as they're not giving up on their head coach. Once that starts happening, the team is done.
I think Kerrigan is not even on the roster
No,
because that was on a 1-year deal.
free agent now.
Yeah, it's a free agent. I mean, I don't know, but like you said, I mean, I would not mind having Kayvon Thibodeau. Hell, even bringing Jordan Davis. I mean, we got those are two your because if you have it, because some of these, and I'm looking at some of these teams on the defensive end, like they have a strong front four, or sometimes a front seven. I think if we can have someone like Hargraves, Williams, and on the have it like Thibodeau or Jordan Davis on that front four, part of that front seven. I think that can really, and with Ganny really clean up his play calling, I think we can definitely get some penetration going forward. Let's get some of these teams, because I think, and I said this too, like the Chiefs are good, but they are beatable. I mean, we've seen the Bengals beat them a couple times. I mean, no team is that hard to beat. I mean, it's just how it is. And there's some that are just stacked more than others.
Yeah, I would really get at this point, like my guy that I want to trade up for badly is Sauce. I really want to get
Sauce Gardner. I think that's really on everybody's mind. But
the Giants are just making me a little nervous right now at 5. That's really what's making
especially with having with the Jets though. But I think, and it's just like if we do find a, because like I think because with Sauce Gardner, he's more like a top 5 than anything else. And I really don't see him. I think, and like you said, Carolina is the perfect team. I would like to at least say, trade the 15th and go and move up to the 6th. So you'll be like, obviously you're going to be stuck between the Giants, who had the 5 and the 7th pick. If we're lucky to if Thibodeau can fall to 6, hell, take it when you can. And then if Davis falls at 18, better snatch those two up, because I think they can be very impactful players.
Now, I want to ask you something. Where do you think so? Because I get confused, because this is the big question mark for me at a certain player in the first round, Derek Stingley. So where do you think? Like, do you think teams are taking too much of a medic approach with him, where they kind of look at his medical, even though he is healthy now and his pro day was very well? Where do you think Thibodeau? Where do you think? Where do you think Derek Stingley is going to land? Where do you think he's going to go?
I think Stingley. I think he's more like a top 10. So I think it can go either way. Some of these teams, I mean, he could fall to the Giants. He could fall to the Jets. I mean, who knows where Stingley's going to fall? But, like you said, even though he's healthy and they take the medic approach and like another guy, I think a perfect example that has some medic problems, JKO, or is it JOK? That's
JOK. Yeah.
Yeah. He's another guy that, I would have liked to have, but it's really kind of bit us in the ass. So I mean, someone like Stingley, I will not see. The least I can see him is at 10. But if he falls more past that, then there might be something that other teams are not seeing. So I think it's more he could be in that top 5, top 10 range.
Yeah, I really don't know, because I think he could go top 12 in my opinion. I think like the Vikings at 12, they don't have Gladney anymore. They signed Patrick Pearson to a 1-year deal. They have a big hole at corner right now, so they could take him at 12 if they want. I mean, if they don't get Sauce, they could Stingley, because this is a Howie move. They like taking guys coming off injuries. They like taking guys that were supposed to be a lot higher. So I feel like the Eagles, that could be a big sleeper pick. That Stingley could be here as a big sleeper pick for the Eagles. Good.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, Stingley. I mean, I like what Stingley brings. And I mean, was he like 6'3", 6'4", like 2 something? I don't even know exactly what he's listed at, but I think he's more. I think we need something like another Slade type of corner, and like another lockdown corner. We have like 2. Even obviously we have Darius Slade, but have some has the same almost like similar skill set as Slade, but a little bit much younger. I think we can have could be a really potential dangerous secondary, and have it. And work on with kind of working on with the our linebacking core, add some defensive linemen. I mean, we don't really have that much to fix. I mean, just fix the linebackers and then add some defensive line. I mean, that's really don't have that much to fix.
Yeah, agreed. If they go into this draft, get a defensive lineman, get a corner and a safety, because between the first and second rounds, they can really fill up a lot of holes in this defense. Like they really can.
That's going to be some. So with Trayvon Walker, I would say if I wanted to take a get, he's another guy I'm really has high on my radar a little bit, because obviously with some of these Georgia players, I mean Trayvon Walker, it could be a possibility he might go number 1 overall, but
Yeah.
it may because obviously like Joey said, I mean, I think all the football fans know this is probably one of the biggest draft days of the year in the many years, despite not being quarterback heavy as it once the last couple of years, but the fact there were deep and the defensive line, wide receiver, cornerback, safety, like all the defensive positions, it's heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a perfect draft for us, especially if it's not a big. You would think because it's not quarterback heavy that we would have a hard time drafting this year, but it's good because there's a lot of depth defensively for key positions. I mean, when you look at the pre-draft visits, are really good. Like some of them, like you'd be like, it makes no sense, but these pre-draft visits this year are really good. I feel like they brought in guys that they really want, and then there's guys they don't talk about that they've talked at their pro day, like Garrett Wilson and Olave and some of these other guys that they talk to off the pre-draft visits, just on the pro days, which is great. So they might not be bringing in some guys because they want to keep it on the hush hush with some players. So it should be interesting.
It's gonna be very interesting because I think another guy I feel like is gonna be a huge sleeper, and that's Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor. He's another guy that's kind of, even though he might.
He's the one that ran the 4.2. He's the one that ran like the big
I think
40.
the one ran the 4.2. I think I was close to breaking John Ross's record. And it's just like, just seeing what some of these receivers, it's like it keeps. I usually keep like a mental note because it's like, I mean, look, I know John Ross never really paid out, it's like run fast, but I think with Tyquan Thornton, I mean, I like what I saw in some like the drills that he's done. Hamilton's going to be a very interesting one though, because I've been hearing he's been falling off draft boards like drastically. I don't know what it is, but it's just like, because I'm thinking it kind of be like a medical problem. I don't even had a bad pro day. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
but I would not mind taking Kyle Hamilton if the Tyrann Mathieu thing would not work out. So I mean, at least we'll have at least somewhat of a contingency plan to at least either grab like another corner, a safety, defensive line, whatever the case may be. I think we can, once we plug up all that holes, try looking for some depth going in the later rounds between the fifth and the seventh.
Yeah, even with Kyle Hamilton like moving out of the top 10, if that's even the case, because I think there's a lot of other safeties that you could draft besides Kyle Hamilton. If Kyle Hamilton is the only guy in the first round you're going to get, I feel like if you want to go after like we talked about Jaquan Brisker and Daxton Hill and some of these other guys, I'd be totally fine with that.
Another guy that's kind of starting to really become a sleeper, and that's Kaler Elam out of Florida.
Kyer Lam makes me. It worries me. I think he's one of the most underrated corners in this draft. The problem with him, he's very grabby. He grabs a lot of jersey. I mean, I love it because he's very physical, but that grabbing is he's almost too aggressive. But I do like it though. But I just worry if is he going to get away with that in the NFL? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, because it's just like there are sometimes like you might get away with it, but almost like 95% of the time they're going to get flagged for it. So I mean,
I want to ask you this. So Trent McDuffie, right? So I have fights with people about Trent McDuffie all the time. Why are you, when you draft a corner in the first round, are you looking for him to be towards more the scheme? Or are you looking for a corner because of man-to-man coverage?
For me, I would say more like scheme-wise, because if he fits within the scheme and performs the way he needs to be, I think that you really hit on. You pretty much can hit hard on it too. If you just do it for man-to-man coverage and anything outside of nothing more than outside of that, then that's more of a cause for concern. But for me, that's how I want to see it out of these corners, because there's some good names. And like Sua Blaze, because I'm a huge Clemson fan. Boot Jr., I love what Boot Jr. brings to the table. And Mario Goodrich, for me, he's 50-50 with me. And that's the thing too. Like, I would rather have like a tall corner and I think with what Jerry said, I don't like short cornerbacks. I want something like
he can play all over the field. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think you can leave him on the island. I mean, that's just me. Like same thing with Booth. Booth, I think Booth is good man to man. His zone isn't great, but his man to man's good. So what are you taking towards the scheme? You know what I mean? So it's tough. It's really
very tough though, because it's like, okay, so God, McDuffie, man. But for me, I think another guy, with Elam, like we said, and that's the thing too. And I'm trying to think of the kind of a good scheme fit for him. Though he can be very physical, but I mean, somebody with these corners, it's like, for me, I say go more if it can, like, Mitch just like say be it as like somebody like, okay, like for example, like say Patrick Graham, if like a corner falls with Patrick Graham and say, okay, so if they say, if this corner wants to do like a man to man and have another do like a zone, I mean, you can definitely mix and match. I mean, that is also a possibility, but with how Gannon runs his is kind of called into question a little bit. So I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, you have to have trust in your players, because if he's going to be way too cautious, not give up the big play, move these corners back 10 to 15 yards off the line, which I cannot stand that either. I mean, even KC, that was like we talked about, that's a winnable game, and you gave Tyreek Hill 10, 15 yards to work with. You can't do it. I mean, you have to have some balls in this league. You have to line these corners up. You got Slay here that had probably the best year of his whole career last year. And then if you get a guy like Andrew Booth, or just imagine the mentorship that bringing one of these guys in, that Slay is still here for another couple of years, and what he could do mentorship wise to some of these young players that could be the future number one corner for the Eagles. So it's a really cool thing to see.
Absolutely. And then some of these linebackers, I feel like, for me, I mean, we all know that Devin Lloyd, Nakobe Dean, probably much like one of the bigger names, but I feel like another guy that's not really talked about is Christian Harris out of Alabama. He's another guy that's one of my sleepers going in the second round. See, because for me, when I did my mock draft, I was like, there's three guys when it comes to linebackers. It's Devin Lloyd, Nakobe Dean, or Christian Harris. It's less like, because I think with Devin Lloyd, I think he's more like side. I think with Dean and Lloyd, I feel it's more like side to side, or sideline to sideline. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like Harris is more like a coverage linebacker in the way how he goes. I don't know what Nick Saban run.
His coverage is good. And the thing is, I mean, when I saw his combine, I was like, how is this guy so athletic? I mean, he's very athletic. I mean, his lateral movement's fantastic, and he lays the big hit as well. He used to play wide receiver and safety, which I didn't know either. So that's how he can move so well, which I was kind of really surprised. But they brought him on a pre-draft visit, which I was really happy about. But hey, we'll see. You know what I mean? If they get we need to add another piece. Just think about it. Kaiser White's on a 1-year deal. TJ Edwards on a 1-year deal this year. I mean, that's it. And then you're down to Davion Taylor, the former third-round pick from UCF, that it's just he's always injured. I thought that's why we kept 7 linebackers and 2 running backs. Remember when it started the season, we kept 7 linebackers, 2 running backs, and we're like, why the hell are they keeping so many linebackers? They were trying to find that right combination. I thought when we first saw the combination, it was TJ Edwards and Davion Taylor. They played really well, but Taylor was hurt before the season started, and he was hurt by the bye week with a knee injury, and then he was out the rest of the year. So I feel like they have to add another body, like somewhere there.
Absolutely. It's just like, I think it's just like for me, like I said before, like I'm kind of excited, but I'm nervous at the same time because I don't want Howie to screw this up, because I do not want to go another year where just like have his track record precede him. And look, I mean, I'll give credit to where credit is due. The fact he's sought out Deshaun Jackson, was that 2000? How long was that ago? Like 2008, 2009?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
a while.
Yeah, just like, I mean, look, granted, he has gotten the hate of this, some of the questionable draft picks over our franchise. But there's some good ones. I mean, Deshaun Jackson was a diamond in the rough, pissing off John. And I really hate to say it, but the fact that even though there are some unwritten rules in the draft, the fact that we traded with our division rival just to piss off the Giants fans too, is still living the rent's head free. I mean, it's just, it's just like, it's really tough to really see. But at the end, I mean, we all know that Devontae Smith was tied heavily to us last year. So, I mean, kind of didn't make sense to bring him in as, wearing Eagles green. But now I'm really looking excited to see what the Eagles are going to look like now is going into next year with the Kelly Green as their alternate, which is something that, some of these older Eagles fans, like my grandparents who grew up on the Kelly Green, which is going to be very interesting because it's it's just like, as much as I love the midnight green, I kind of want to I want to go back to the Kelly Green because I feel like the Kelly Green looks so much better.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be an alternate. I mean, they'll try to get 2 alternates. They're trying to get 2 alternates for next year. So hopefully Kelly Green, they get the black helmets with the black on black, which I'm actually excited for this year, but take my money. It's all here. I'm ready to buy next year.
Yeah, and that's a good point because I think because you're white, which is funny because the fact that this kid was from Jersey, it's like shit. That makes it even much better. And having two hometown kids coming in, yeah, and we do need a safety because obviously the Colts snatching Rodney McLeod, which and look as much as I love Rodney McLeod, but just I just feel like he was like below average. He was like an average safety. I think he was really nothing out of the nothing like this elite safeties like you see like a Tyrann Mathieu kind of.
I think he paired well with Malcolm Jenkins, but at the same time he developed way too many injuries, and it was to the point where I could guess why they brought Anthony Harris back, which I really can't take these safeties out. And Marcus Epps didn't play that bad either, and I really don't like Marcus Epps at all, but he actually didn't play bad. Played pretty solid last year, so when you have these safeties right now, like you got a lot of different options going into this draft, and for me, I want that Malcolm Jenkins piece. I want that move around safety that can line up anywhere and kind of go through what offense we're facing and to see like on matchups and everything like that. So that'd be cool.
And that's another good point too. Having some like a flexible linebacker too, which is something that. And look, and the thing is just like the fact. I mean, look, I hope TJ Edwards. The fact that this kid has come out of nowhere and become like probably one of the better anchors that we had at the linebacker position is impressive. I don't think he's not at the top. I do think he's right in the middle of the pack. I think he's still a good linebacker. I mean, they're bringing back on a cheap 1 year deal. I really do think having can really set the standard now, bringing Kazir White another 1 year deal. Now, my thing is like, is there any way there's a way that they might draw up a scheme where Hassan Reddick could be a linebacker? Because when I saw him where he was listed as an outside linebacker, I said, I see him more as like a pass or like an edge rusher because like he has the size of an edge rusher, not like a linebacker, but. Hey, I don't know.
Well, that's when he was drafted to Arizona, they used him more as a linebacker and less of an edge rusher. And then they finally, I think the last year of his contract there, he started playing really well, and that's when he got traded. So, I think he became a free agent, whatever, and went to the Panthers. So, I mean, I would really use him. I think you could move him around and just be that lurking piece at linebacker that's just going to disrupt. And you could put him as an edge rusher if you have to, and just have him blitz, just have him cause havoc because Hassan Reddick's got to have 10 plus sacks this year. This guy is 23.5 sacks past 2 seasons. This guy's he's got to pay off. And really, I'm not. If he only has 5 sacks for the year, I'm not putting it on him. I'm putting him on Jonathan Gannon. I don't blame any of these players. It's not whatever they have to do is on Jonathan Gannon. So
I think last year had been Edwards' rookie year, wasn't it? That had been because Jerry said, "Isn't Edwards still?" He's asking if TJ Edwards still on the rookie contract.
No, he signed an extension.
I know he signed an extension. I think he was on this rookie contract last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they signed him a 1 year deal. Well, yeah, it was I think it was a 1 year deal. So he should be a free agent after this year because the year after his contract's voided. So he should be a free agent after this year.
And so, I mean, when it comes down to Tyrann Mathieu, it's gonna probably come down to 2 teams. It's us and the Raiders, from what I've understood. Because I know we were pushing heavily, and still was the Raiders, but who knows what the Raiders.
You're talking about the Rams. I think it's now with the Steelers are definitely out because they saw Terrell Edmonds. They're resigning Minkah Fitzpatrick to a big contract.
Yeah,
I think it's between Rams. I think it's between Rams and the Eagles right now, but I don't know how persistent. I mean, the Eagles have been very persistent with it. Tyrann Mathieu's been tweeting some stuff out as well. Been liking a lot of Eagles stuff, but by Slay and some other guys that have been putting out some tweets. So I think if they draft somewhat of a safety within the first 2 rounds, I think Tyrann Mathieu's off the table and they feel like they're not going to get him. I don't know. They could sign him tomorrow. Who knows? I mean, I just don't know if they're going to wait that long.
Keep an eye out though, but yeah, that's very true. And it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just like it's going to be very interesting what this team is going to be looking like after the draft. Like I said, I mean, it's really you got to see how he wants to do, and see what who's going to fall where to us at 15, 18, and 51, and in these other draft spots we have. It's going to be very. It's just going to take all that as well, but
don't settle, dude. Like that. That's why I don't want this team to just sit at 15 and just settle. I want them to, the first couple 3 picks and then start, what's going to happen is, from what Rapport said today, it's like if the Eagles are going to make a move up, and I think 90% they're definitely going to move up in this draft from 15, and they'll already have something in place. Okay, it's not going to be like out of nowhere like last year. I think they're going to have something in place already ready for draft day to trade up with a specific team. I don't think it's the Giants. Rapport mentioned the 2 big trade back teams are the Giants and the Panthers right now. So I don't think we're going to move back from the Giants. I don't think they're even going to talk to the Giants. But I mean, if they do, I'll be shocked and be like, holy crap, we got one on them once again. But if they go to the Panthers at 6, they need draft picks badly. I don't think they have I don't think they have any picks until the 4th round next year. They need picks badly next year. Plus, they have Gardner Minshew on this team that could be a huge trade chip. Gardner Minshew's above average backup quarterback. Plus, number 2, he is cheap. He's only $900,000, a little over $900,000 for the year. So Minshew might be a big trade candidate during the draft, or he could be a big trade candidate after the draft when teams are done drafting and everything's said and done. So
Sewer Blaze has us opportunity between a trade up between 6 and 10, which it could happen, but like Joey said, I don't think we're going to be talking to the Giants because after last year we kind of just annoyed the crap out of them because we stole Smitty away from them. And look, it's just like not all teams. It's just like I'm really excited what this team is going to be doing. But then again, knowing how Halby in this track record is, it's going to be very nerve wracking to say the least. So it's going to be 50-50 with us Eagles fans.
I get the trade up options I see is 10 with the Jets, and I don't know if it's going to be like, maybe, I don't know. I know the Jets need wide receiver badly. They've been looking at wide receiver. They've been trying to trade for DK Metcalf. They're trying to get Deebo Samuel right now, which I don't think they're going to be able to do. I think Deebo's staying in San Francisco this year. I think he's either going to sit out the whole year or he's going to play. I don't know what he's going to do, but I just don't think that pick is going nowhere. I think Seattle might be one because they could be looking at quarterback this year. Trading back, 5, 6 spots isn't going to be a bad thing for them. And 6. And I think that's really it because I don't think you're taking 4 away from the Jets. I don't think you're trading with the Giants. And I don't think you're going as far as Houston at number 3 overall because it's just going to cost too much for the Eagles. So I think 6, 9, 6, 9, and 10 are probably most realistic for the Eagles trade up. But you never know.
And Chad, who's also a Steelers fan, that could be a possibility because, God rest Dwayne Haskins, which is very unfortunate because I thought, Haskins having a change of scenery could really help out his career, but which is unfortunate to see what happened to him. But hey, look, that can happen to any team. This because we say, because it's not just us. Like any team can really flip, mix and match because I think for me, and I kind of agree with Joey because the one team I would like to see trade with and that need draft picks is Carolina. And look, Carolina. As much as Carolina, the fact that they brought in Bad McAdoo is like yikes. It's just like I don't know what the hell is going down there in Carolina. It's just I think something I would rather would make a move with Carolina and give them say our 15th. If they need to move back 9 spots. So I would rather do that and give them, I don't even have a,
right.
But yeah, you kind of get the point I'm trying to get across though. But yeah, Joey, man, I appreciate you kind of talking for the last hour or 10 minutes. But for those who are new to this channel, I have Joey's channel linked in the description and in the pinned comment up top. You guys like all Eagles, all things Eagles, Joey's your go-to guy. I will do this as well. Either like Sixers, Phillies, whatever the case may be. That's all we got for you guys.
Are you streaming the draft or no?
I am doing a draft watch party.
Nice.
I'm doing that. Because I think because I did it with Mitch and Lindy last year when we traded to get 10th.
Right.
Actually, I forgot about Ojabo. That's an interesting one. I feel like Ojabo was going to fall like to mid-second round because obviously with that I think it was an ACL tear. I think it was
Achilles.
Oof.
That's even worse. Yeah. But I think, look, I only want to get him in the second round if they trade back and maybe they move up with another second round pick. I take him in the second and sit him out the year. And I think he has a very high ceiling, very raw talent. So I think they could do that if they wanted to. But at this point, like if I'm not into it if it's our only second round pick going into that round. So because we need players right now. So
absolutely. But yeah, so that's all I got. That's all me and Joey got for you guys for tonight. Yeah, we're going to be looking forward to the draft. If the team does well, I mean, It's going to be very interesting. Come check out Joey's channel. It's linked in the description and in the pinned comment in the chat box. Joey, man, it was a pleasure to finally get to work after a good show. Putting this
we'll get together again. I'm probably gonna do a call in probably after the draft or something. I was gonna do one this week, but I just didn't have time. So probably I'll do a call in after the draft to kind of get everyone's. I'll help everybody out and get everybody in there as much as possible. So
absolutely,
that's what we'll probably do. I'll be streaming with Philly 500 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we're gonna do a shakedown on Sunday, a podcast that we have. So that's pretty much gonna be the plan as of right now. So,
but yeah, I appreciate the people who were tuning in. Greatly appreciate that. With that being said, Joey, appreciate it. You can always hit me up if you want to start working again. Check out everybody, even myself included, and the Spotlight Sports Network down below. With that being said, this is Robert from the Philly Sports Talk Podcast. We'll see you guys at the next one.
Thanks, man.